I was listening to an episode of Face Jam. Do you even know what Face Jam is? Have you listened to Face Jam?
No.
It's a podcast. What they do, they go around and they try all the latest fast food specials and hyped up things and whatever. They were talking about...
Wait, did anyone else just lose audio from Mike?
I think so.
This isn't like a bit, like... Okay, now you go. What the hell? Did you do something, Ian? What the hell happened?
I was listening to the...
There, I can mute him, too.
Jesus
how is that even an
Christ.
option? Why is that even a thing that can happen?
What? I thought it would
see
just
now.
mute it for me because I'm
Yeah.
trying to like listen to the cold open. I didn't realize it muted him for everyone.
I never noticed those controls there at all.
It popped up and said, Ian, muted Mike, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
I didn't even see that.
And then-
Apparently, I can also remove anybody from the call I want to.
I noticed that too. I didn't want to
Jesus
do that.
Christ. Lock party. How do you lock things? I am in control.
Are you?
Not here, you're not.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Bry Guy into Super Friends. I'm your host, Brian Labick. Joining me for this episode is someone who is typically only watches Vin Diesel movies because his wife forces him to, Josh Zorch.
And now, I guess you're added to that list.
Yeah, I guess, you can throw me in there. Although, no, it wasn't my choice. It was the wheel.
Ah, goddamn wheel. The wheel of
Your
fate.
show, your choice.
Yeah.
It's all on me.
It still comes back to you. You know.
Next up, we have someone whose favorite Vin Diesel movie is The Pacifier, Mike Bradley.
I mean, that's not actually that far from being accurate. I mean,
I was just kind of hoping you've seen The Pacifier, so that joke kind of lands.
oh, I've seen The Pacifier. It's great. There's a minivan chase scene in that movie. It's awesome.
And finally, I think we're all anxiously waiting to see how many explosions out of 10 he rates this one. Ian Leidick.
So right now, guys, I'm reaching to you through the screen. I need you to all do me one favor. You're going to go to your web browser. That's the part of the thing where you type in websites. You're going to type in teespring.com/stores/Leroy Exports. Exports. LEROYEXPORTS. And you're going to buy a Leroy the Dream Killer shirt. You can get That's a Badass Movie on a t-shirt. You can get hashtag White Spider Liquid on a t-shirt. You can get Check out my podcast, Bloodholio Edition, on a t-shirt. That's teesprings.com/stores/Leroy Exports.
Please tell me that's real. Tell me
Oh,
you've
hell
done
yeah, it
that.
is, brother. I did it.
I don't have time to look right now, but I'm definitely going
I
to
can
look
see
that up
everyone else
after
typing it in.
I'm doing it right now.
the show.
You don't have to. I shared you the link. It's real.
Oh, it's going to be great. Okay. Yeah, we'll have to check that out later.
For $28.99, there's a T-shirt. That's a badass movie, and it just literally has like font, like Arial text on it. It's not even.
No logo, no nothing, just text. That's it.
I put as much
Put the
effort
same thing
into
on
it.
some leggings. You know,
I made sure to get
and
leggings on
hashtag
there.
White Spider Liquid is also available.
I
Who's?
think you can get that one in more colors than white.
Oh, there's leggings.
Someone please
yeah.
order that for Romano and just send it
I
to
was
him
gonna say
as an anonymous gift.
whose birthday is coming up next.
Oh shit! All right. So before we actually dive into the episode, I want to officially prep for our next one, which will be our 200th episode. So if you've been listening, you'll know I've been sort of teasing something for Twitch. The last episode, I kind of tried to share more details. So our plan for the 200th is to record our show live through Twitch. Bradley's actually been trying to get me to do this probably for years, and I keep putting it off. So we're finally gonna do it. I'm gonna give in. We're gonna give it a shot. So hopefully it goes well. Otherwise, this will be, if it sucks and crashes and burns, this will be the one and only time we do this. So tune in, because this could be it. But at least it's something different to try for our milestone episode. It'll give us a chance to interact with you, the listener, as we're doing the show, which will be a brand new experience, I think, for all of us. So I've got a topic lined up. I'm going to try to filter in some trivia questions. I'm hoping that'll add a little bit of fun if you're watching and you can participate in the chat as we're going. I mentioned last episode that we were going to try to nail down a date. So we have picked Saturday, September 26th. We will be going live probably somewhere around 7 p.m. Eastern. So if you would like to find us, you can tune in then, watch us live. If you miss us live, don't worry. I'll be editing and uploading the episode as normal, so you can still listen to us after the fact. Or if you follow my Twitch channel or check out the Twitch channel, the whole episode will be up there. So it'll be posted there for probably at least a month. You can always just come back and watch the video if you want to. So to plug the Twitch channel, you can find me at Jedi Bry Guy. That is all one word, JEDIBRYGUY. I'll put the link in the description for the episode, so it's a little bit easier to find. If you follow us on Facebook and Twitter, I'll be sending out reminders in the next week or two, leading up to the date, with the link and for the page and all that stuff, and reminders for the time and date and all that kind of stuff. So hopefully, if I give you enough notice, if anybody wants to clear their schedule and try to time it right, you can catch us there.
And you want to make sure you watch
Tease
it.
the topic.
What's that, Ian?
Tease the topic.
I said you want to make sure you watch it live because I'm going to be doing a lot of visual humor. Most of them, I might not talk the whole hour, 3 hours, 5 hours it goes, just doing visual jokes the whole time. So make sure you tune in.
It will be a complete shit show. I fully expect that to happen.
Especially now that I know I can mute people.
Seriously, can we please do that one on Discord so that doesn't happen?
Yeah, we'll have to see if we can iron out. Yeah, the technical difficulties I'm sure are going to happen, so it'll be an experience for all of us. Yeah, so Mike's at, do you want, I'll tease the topic. The topic I have in mind, we're going to talk about, it's actually something I did for anybody that's listened for years. I've been doing this for probably 5 years-ish, give or take. It was an episode I did in the 20s. It was like 27 or something. So I'm kind of rehashing the same thing. We're gonna revisit that topic. I'm gonna try to update some information, some research. But we're gonna be talking about superhero movies that could have been, movies that might have been rumored for production, started to get into production. For whatever reason, the movies didn't happen. We can debate and talk about if those movies would have been any good. And then, like I said, I've got some trivia questions framed around some of those. So if that sounds interesting, or if you just want to see us make asses of ourselves, that is the time, September 26th, 7 p.m. Check us out.
Looking forward to it.
Did you give him your Twitch address?
Yeah, we'll do it again, at Jedi Bry Guy, all one word.
That's on Twitch?
That is on Twitch.
You changed it?
Yes.
Ah, okay. I didn't realize you had changed it.
Yeah, I realized all the my Twitter handle and stuff was that, so I made the Twitch match it. So I'm Jedi Bry Guy on both Twitter and Twitch. All right, so now that all the promotional stuff is out of the way, we'll get into our latest episode of Rewind Theater. For this episode, we are talking about 2020's Bloodshot. This movie marks our third entry into our series. If you're just jumping in, I'll try to give you a quick summary. So Rewind Theater is basically an excuse for us to rewatch some comic book movies, try to give them a second look, see if they hold up. At the end of the episode, we take the decision-making out of our hands and leave it to the Wheel of Fate to pick our next movie. The wheel consists of 4 standalone movies, 2 franchises. So those 6 options come from a bigger list that we filter down to 6 just to make it a little bit easier to handle. We started with Spawn, which was our choice, and then the wheel chose Venom as our second movie, and the wheel chose Bloodshot. So stick around to the end of the episode because we will spin the wheel at the end after we're done talking Bloodshot to see what we're watching next. And before we get into Bloodshot, before we do that, to play it safe, I'm going to throw out the spoiler warning. So if you do not want to be spoiled for Bloodshot, you can pause this now, come back to us after you've seen the movie, and otherwise you can just keep listening and we'll talk about anything that we fucking want to about the movie. So spoiler warning to follow.
Wee-oo, wee-oo, spoiler! Wee-oo, wee-oo, spoiler! Something like that.
All right, so talking Bloodshot. The movie was released March of 2020, which was, 6 months ago, 5 months ago, something like that. Right at the beginning of the year when everything was about to, go to shit. It was one of the last movies that was shown in theaters, got a very quick digital release. It was directed by Dave Wilson, which, as far as I can tell, looks to be his first movie. He comes from a visual effects background, was credited as a cinematic director of Blur Studios, which has done a lot of CG work for video games. So they're credited with Halo Wars, Mass Effect 2, Force Unleashed 2, Bioshock Infinite, Star Wars The Old Republic, The Division. He's also been credited as a creative supervisor of Blur, which worked on Avengers Age of Ultron. Since, that movie probably being very special effects heavy, they just shove it out there to other special effects houses to do effects work. So I guess that, to me, that kind of background for the director kind of makes sense, I think, when you watch the movie.
Sure.
The movie stars Vin Diesel, Guy Pearce, Isa Gonzalez, Toby Kebbell, Sam Hoogan, yeah.
Oh,
I'm gonna
Sarah
butcher
told me how to
everybody's
pronounce this. She knows. I'll find out.
Okay. Tallulah Riley and Lamore Morris. Any guesses from anybody what the film's budget is
200
or
million.
was?
Budget guess, I would say 60.
Okay. Josh, do you have a guess what the film's budget is?
Not yet, but it is Sam Heughan.
Heughan, okay.
I
Yeah,
got
fucked that up
confirmation
completely.
from the female in the house.
Okay.
So
So we have 200 million and 60 million guesses.
I'm gonna say 110.
Okay, Mike was the closest. The Box Office Mojo listed as 45 million,
Really?
which surprised me. I think for
Yeah.
as special effects heavy as this
Half
is,
of that
I
went to Vin Diesel.
expected. Yeah, I expected closer to at least 100 million, somewhere in that range. So 45 million was the projected box office or budget. Sorry, ended its box office run with a worldwide total of 30.8 million. Which again, this is taken with an asterisk because this movie came out right as quarantine happened in the States. So
March
I don't know.
15th.
that was the date.
Yeah.
Did it release?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
okay.
opening weekend. Yeah.
It was one of the first movies that was like out there to rent at home for like a $20 price or whatever.
Yeah, it hit digital
Right.
like a couple weeks after its theater
Immediately.
release.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't know what kind of profit it made from digital sales, renting, and digital downloads and stuff like that. So maybe it made a little bit of a profit that way, but I didn't look for those numbers. Currently, on Rotten Tomatoes, the film has a 30% critic score and a 78% audience score. Metacritic has a little bit more in the middle. Metascore is 44, user score 5.1. So we're going to just start going around. Mike, we'll start with you. First time viewing, or is this a rewatch for you?
First time.
Okay. Ian, first time rewatch?
First time.
Okay. Josh?
Actually, a rewatch. I think we had a Redbox credit or something. When it opened right at the beginning of quarantine, I think this was still in the first couple weeks because, like you said, they got it out to the public really fast,
Yeah.
both disc-wise and digital options. And I think we just sort of resigned ourselves, like, well, we might be doing this for a few weeks. I guess we just should see maybe if it was all right.
I like that for all of these, Joss has an excuse of why he saw it the first time. It's never I went and saw it. It's I had a credit. Oh, I still had Movie Pass.
Plausible
There's guilt
deniability.
in some of these
Yeah.
for him. Like,
I was raised
I did-
Catholic. Give me a break.
I didn't really contribute to the box office. It's not really my fault.
This is also a first viewing for me as well. I had not seen this. So I guess going back to the scores again, Rotten Tomatoes 30% critics, 78 audience. Metacritic is 44. Metascore, user score 5.1. Mike, we'll come back to you. Agree, disagree with the scores?
again, with Rotten Tomatoes, the divide is so far. I don't think I can agree or disagree with, like, I'd have to pick one or the other there.
Yeah.
And I feel like my personal opinion's somewhere in between the two. I don't think it's as high as a 78, and I don't think it's as low as a 30. As far as Metacritic goes, thereabouts, I guess. Maybe a little better than that, maybe a little worse. I haven't actually given my own, I haven't given it a score myself yet in my head, so
Okay, we got
I figured I would
end of the
determine
episode
that.
to figure that out.
Well, I figured discussing things more thoroughly might help me out figuring out a score.
Fair
You know,
enough.
Maybe somebody points something out that I liked more or didn't like, and
Ian, agree, disagree with the scores?
All I'm going to say is if anyone gives this movie a higher score than they gave Venom, I will never appear on this podcast again.
Now I'm trying to remember what the hell I gave Venom.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I
what
think
gave
you and I
Venom, so.
both, Brian, were
We're in the 4 or 5 range.
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's got to be around there. I don't know.
Do you know what scores we gave?
No, I'm gonna listen to it afterwards. I don't want to upset
Okay.
Brian during the recording.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I honestly don't know what my score for Venom was.
I'm pretty sure 4s and 5s though is about where I would say. So hearing you saying 5's about where I'm at, I'm like, you no.
Yeah, I think Ian's gonna disown us all after this.
Can I make a defense on this?
No.
Well,
You haven't given a
hear me
score
out.
yet. Wait till you give a score. Then you can defend
What?
your score.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But I was just gonna say I think my expectations are a lot higher for Venom than for this.
I will agree to that. Yes.
So I'm a little bit harsher on it because of those expectations.
Josh, agree, disagree with the scores.
I think that the Rotten Tomatoes ones sound, if I remember, kind of similar to what Rotten Tomatoes was for Venom, and I can understand. I mean, I don't know how to necessarily say if I agree, disagree. I think I understand why the critics are real low and why certain types of viewers had a better experience than a critic would. I probably lean toward the critic side.
Fair. Yeah, I think that it's all these movies, like, such a divide between, like, it's so hard to take Rotten Tomatoes anymore for, like, what it is because the scores are so fucking drastically different.
Mm-hmm.
Metacritic at least seems a little bit more even keel, where I think I'm leaning more towards agreeing with the Metacritic score. I think I might lean more towards the user score than the meta score, but I don't know. Yeah, like sort of like Mike, I might finally formulate my opinion after we've sort of discussed it a little bit more. Right, so we'll start spinning into what we liked. So, Mike, I'll come back around to you. What did you like about this movie?
I'd say it's easy to say the special effects were pretty cool. Like the nano special effects when he gets shot or blown up or something. They looked cool. I don't necessarily think they implemented it as well as they could have. They always kind of tried to over-focus on slow-mo shots of it happening.
Yeah.
Which for one time, I was on board, like, oh, it shows what's actually happening, and then it does it every single time. I don't know that was needed.
No, like, there's that fight in the fucking tunnel. It takes 45 fucking seconds from the punch 3 people because it's going slow-mo. It was fucking awful. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I could
really
have went out and gotten COVID and how long that scene fucking took.
Really
Jesus
fucking
fucking
the other
Christ.
way. You were going to love that.
No!
I tend to agree with Ian on this because it again, show me what happens one time and then we're good, like it doesn't need to happen anymore. It's a cool look, but
I think this stems from
see it in slow-mo.
the director's special effects background. Like, hey, look, I can make visual effects that look cool.
That's
and I'm going
highlight.
to use that as the gimmick for the movie.
Right, but I think the scene itself looks cooler if it's in fast motion.
Yeah, okay, I got you.
Like if he gets half of his face shut off and it comes back quickly and it's all quick, I feel like it would look a lot better.
I got you.
Much, much better. Other things I liked, specifically.
I mean, don't beat yourself up about it.
Yeah, I mean, like things that I specifically really liked. How dumb Vin Diesel looked in the beginning in the army outfit and like
that's something you liked.
The tactical gear. I mean, seeing how stupid he looked, yeah, that was actually kind of fun. He looks so ridiculous in it. Like he doesn't look like he fits in it whatsoever. It looks completely wrong on him.
For whatever reason, it did feel out of place for me. For some reason, I couldn't put my finger on it, but maybe that's it. Maybe he just looks weird in the getup. If he's not wearing the white tank top, I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, true. And then I think Ian had said, "Oh, the first thing I saw on screen was Vin Diesel in a white tank top," so I was anticipating that. And I feel like because that wasn't what you actually first see Vin Diesel in, it was like, wait, what the fuck? And he looked even weirder then, because that's what I was like thinking was going to be there. But yeah, I mean, I can't really point out much more that I really, really liked.
I mean, we'll move on. If you got nothing, I'll go to the next one. We'll come back to you if you think of something else.
Yeah. I got that's it.
Okay. Ian, and I guess I should. I feel like out of anybody, Ian's probably the one that may have read the comic book for this or know anything about the comic book. Do you know anything about the Bloodshot comic?
I mean, I know that this is essentially the premise, but I didn't really read it. I know
Okay.
that they've rebooted it several times, and you might have picked up on this at the end. This was very key. His name's Bloodshot because his eyes get bloodshot. I don't know if you noticed that.
I feel like they only like kind of dwell on that once.
Well, it only happened once at the very end when he overloaded.
Right. Okay.
And
I was
that's
like,
why his
am I
name's
missing something?
Bloodshot.
Okay.
Not because he gets
You know-
bloodshot out of him.
Well,
I feel like at one point during the movie, I was wondering when they were going to explain why he's bloodshot. And then by the end of it, I had forgot about that.
Well, they never
Like,
said the
it-
words bloodshot, so that's probably
true.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
It's
never
a-
established that his name's Bloodshot.
it felt like
I mean, they never gave context to the title of the movie, I guess. Like,
it felt like a slower build up to the achievement of the title moniker, in all the ways that it seemed to me like they would love this to be at least a trilogy type
Well, this
of thing.
movie
So you go
takes
through
place-
the whole first one, and then he finally kind of fulfills the namesake in the last 7 minutes, and then that can that visage can occur more frequently. He can get to that level more frequently in the subsequent follow-ups, if that ever happens.
This movie takes place in the Valiant cinematic universe, so there's another Valiant
Which
movie out.
includes what?
I don't know the name of the other movie that's out that's in the Valiant cinematic universe, but these two are in the same universe, and there's supposed to be more.
So you don't know what it is, but something you saw tells you that it exists.
I've read about it, yes.
Okay, we might need to try to dive into this as we...
All right. So we can
As
spin
we
back
listen.
around to that.
Yeah.
Ian, what did you like?
So I really liked, I didn't think he looked weird in the military getup, but that's not the Diesel I know. So I was super excited when right after that and he gets off the plane and he takes off his fatigues, immediate white tank top, and that's when I wrote down Toretto because Toretto is in the film. Let's see, what did I like next? Let me scroll through here. Oh,
Yeah, Ian's got notes, folks.
so I liked at first Guy Pearce. I was like, why is he wearing that glove? And then I was like, oh shit, it's a mechanical hand, so that was pretty fucking cool.
I have the same thing wrote down. I think my note was more along the lines of who the fuck does he think he is, Michael Jackson? And then it was like, oh shit, that's a cybernetic hand. Like, it just...
Scratches off the whole question of who do you think you are, Michael Jackson?
Yeah, it's like, oh.
Then
Immediately feel bad about yourself.
I like that they said fuck the police by wrecking into the police car and the police do nothing about it. They also never respond to anything happening. None. Zero
They
police
just
presence.
scream and cry, don't they?
I don't even know if they did that. I think they just sat there. I liked KT's fight scenes. I thought she had the best fight scenes in the movie.
Okay.
Yes. Agreed.
Yeah.
I like the little cigarette thing because she doesn't breathe like we breathe, so she can use poison like that. And she had that classic one-liner, "It's bad for you," because we all know that about cigarettes. I really enjoyed
Yeah.
they had the code off near the end, where Wiggins and Eric had a code off while Wiggins was hacking in. That was kind of fun. I wrote down "code off" and yelled out "code off" in the room because it was a lot of fun. I thought Wiggins was surprisingly funny. He was probably borderline maybe the only good character in this film. I liked Guy Pearce, but he almost got too into it. If everyone else was as into it as Guy Pearce, it would have worked, but he was the only one that was like, I'm playing a role and I'm selling the shit out of it. Everyone else
Yeah.
was like, I'm on set.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
And he did. I have Guy Pearce on my bullet points of positive / saving graces for this. And yeah, you're right. He kind of went up, in my opinion, went up to a line that I wouldn't necessarily say he's chewing scenery or hamming it, but is out acting everybody else's effort.
I mean, I feel like it's Guy Pearce. Like, when can you go wrong with Guy Pearce? So,
Right, and that's a good if you can get him in your movie. He's rarely does anyone say oh, I saw that really shitty new Guy Pearce movie. He was terrible.
I think in this case, his performance was actually highlighting how bad some of the other ones were.
Right. the contrast was
because
noticeable.
it became
Yeah.
noticeable. Yeah, that it's like,
Then this was more of an internal thought. It didn't really happen, but there's the blind guy, and he puts on the mask with like the 5 eyes, and then shoots out the drones with more eyes. And I wrote down, when you see everything, you see nothing. And that really spoke to me as a thing to live by.
You're getting real philosophical as you're watching the movie.
And then I guess this isn't really a positive, but it's my last note, and it's Bloodshot. That's because his eyes turned bloodshot.
Well done. I appreciate the notes. You did your research. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. And you were worried I wasn't gonna watch this.
I was. Josh, stuff you liked.
Well, I will fill in part of the conversation we were just having about the Valiant comic cinematic universe that I found while we were just chatting. It was apparently supposed to begin differently with a character of theirs called Harbinger. And for whatever reason, either got delayed or they got Bloodshot moving forward faster. So Bloodshot is the first in the series. So, and I'm not sure if like what you came across said something else already exists, or was like supposed to be in the works, etc. But apparently that's what is to come. Something about a character called Harbinger.
That's probably the way it was worded then.
For all that's worth.
He's Batman, probably.
Now, I will say this particular article on this website, where's this phrasing here? Oh, okay. And they're basically saying, well, leading off with Bloodshot in their cinematic universe is, not a bad deal because, quote, Diesel is easily on the Robert Downey Jr. spectrum of movie stardom, so he'll make a good starting point. I'd like to argue that a little
box
bit
office
at least.
wise, box office
yeah,
wise.
box
know.
office wise worldwide. Yeah.
I know. Robert Downey Jr. has an Oscar, so F Vin Diesel.
'Cause I don't know if you guys once again noticed in the beginning of this film, like our last film, we had another Chinese production company involved in the production of this film.
I did notice that. Yes.
Yeah. Now you're always gonna notice.
I would never not see. I actually surprisingly, because I feel like I shit on Venom a lot again last time. So I was trying to at least find positive pieces, even if my overall opinion of the end product might not still be shining. I tried to find as many just little things to point out. I would say first, I do love the use of Psycho Killer by Talking Heads in the opening scene with Toby Kebbell. That's just like, I don't know, for me that's a cool song and it was used effectively, I think.
For me, at first, it was too on the nose when it literally said Psycho Killer and like him posing, and then like 10 seconds later it's like, let's fucking roll. You know what? Let's fucking do this.
Just lean into it.
Yeah,
Well,
fuck
can I
it.
make a statement about that whole moment?
What's that?
They intensely focus on his shitty sandals,
Yeah.
and then they never make any reference back to it. Like through that whole sequence, you get like 5 shots of the sandals.
Well, it's because it's a Tarantino reference, because Tarantino's into feet. Like,
Obviously.
Yeah, it's a metacritic, a meta commentary on Tarantino's love for feet, since that was obviously a homage to one of Tarantino's films.
Well, I think it at least got played off
Okay.
Even like the use of Psycho Killer, you're saying like, yes, it was on the nose. The fact that you get the explanation later that Guy Pearce kind of says to his one programmer, like, no more suggestions from you. You used all those tropes.
But that's what ruined
From
it.
things.
It was funny. It was like, okay, they're leaning into it, and then they're like, no, this is why we used it. It's a dumb idea. And then they shit all over it. Like, that was bad. You don't write in the script, hey, that was a shitty thing we did 20 minutes ago in the movie. Like, you don't do that. That's bad writing. And it's what then made Psycho Killer go from, yeah, let's fucking lean into this, let's roll, to be like, yeah, no, we're not actually leaning into it, we're saying it's shitty, and all the parodies and homages we're making throughout this film are also shit.
Suddenly I'm starting to think that Ian hated this movie, and I'm really surprised.
So I have a few positives left, but it feels like we've turned off of that highway already. This was
Steer us back.
this was the second positive bullet that I wrote down. Elza
Out of 2.
Gonzalez.
Yeah.
She was in it, and that made me happy. I will also play the other side of the table for a moment, and I think one of the redeeming factors of the movie for Sarah, she did not rewatch with me, but we saw it together the first time months ago. So like one of the redeeming factors for her was the fact that Sam Heughan was in it. Regardless of anything else that occurs in the movie, she at least had that.
Okay.
I said, okay, I will say this. As far as the structure of the movie, you don't really, if you didn't know anything about, if you didn't see a trailer or you didn't really understand what the trailer was telling you, or a preview, or you didn't know anything about the movie really going in, you don't actually get into the plot of the movie until, I wrote it down, it's like 45 minutes. You're just watching a story happen. And then, after his first mission and he gets all the way back to the station and they shut him down again for the first time, that's really the only first time that you understand what else is happening. And at least
Right.
from like an editor standpoint, from a story structuring standpoint, probably not bad. You're probably really going to enjoy that aspect of it. I think as it in general, like if you're a Vin Diesel fan, you probably like this movie. For the most part, there was probably enough basic action, effects, sequences for you to enjoy it well enough and probably say it was okay. It was pretty good. I am generally not on that side of the fence. But that, some of these other things, it does have a good idea at its foundation, the idea of the character and the backstory and what he can now do, etc. It's intriguing. It's interesting. Again, I did write down Guy Pearce. He's owning everything. And yeah, the character of is the actor's name Lamorne or Lamorna Morris? Lamorne Morris.
Yeah.
The other programmer. He's my favorite character in the movie.
I agree.
Hands down. He is the most interesting. He is the most nuanced. I would have loved him and Guy Pearce to be in scenes together, because every time he's on screen, you're like, this guy's bringing more to the screen than anybody else he's with. His Wiggins character.
Which brings up another issue at the film, like with the whole shitting on thing, and like Eric says, well, we tried to hire him. They fucking should have hired him, so we could have gotten that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would have been wonderful.
They literally told you, hey, we could have made a better movie.
And I think maybe that's the difference between being a director and a special effects artist.
Yeah. And to be fair, I mean,
see what you have and make it work.
Right. And if this was to be kind, if we can, to the director for a moment, this was it from a professional standpoint. I doubt anyone would say that this was a failure as a first-time director. I don't think anyone would generally critique him as a director to say that.
I would.
Okay. I mean, from
the fight scenes are awful. There's so much noticeable CGI when they're falling down the elevator shaft and fighting. It's clearly not two human beings fighting, and he's a CGI guy. There's all that flour in the fucking tunnel, and it doesn't explode when they shoot off 6 flares. It should have exploded. There was 0 fucking explosions in this movie! 0 fucking explosions! And they lit a whole tunnel of fucking fire!
Well, wait. There was one, but they don't show it to us.
That doesn't count as an explosion in the movie.
When he shoots the grenade launcher at him, we don't actually see the explosion. But it happened. We just don't get to see it.
I feel like I've already forgotten that sequence.
That's the very end.
It's the very end of the movie.
Have.
When he catches the grenade.
He drops it, and then they both blow up.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah, they don't even show you the explosion. You just know it happened.
Are you sure? No. You get the
You
dust
get
cloud.
like the nano view of it. Like it pops into like him breaking apart, and that's about it. It's not like you don't get a big explosion out of it. You should get a nice explosion. You didn't get one.
Must have passed without me noticing. I appreciated Wiggins' coming to America joke like you don't know. I loved that. He just comes back so casually with the, "No, it is I, King Jeffrey Joffre from Zamunda." I was dead. I love that. I will say I do like the sequence from an effect standpoint, where Guy Pearce is I forget if he's in, like, I guess he's in the mind of Vin Diesel, or they're both in some like blank environment wherever the hell it takes place. And they just show you like creating the digital world of the like boat harbor that they're standing in. Just watching that happen, I thought was kind of fun to watch.
That was one of the few good scenes and was probably responsible for 3/4 of the budget.
I
The only good use really
Yeah.
of CGI in the whole film.
when we get to the negative side, I only have 2 negative bullets, but then I can kind of sum up my overall feeling about the movie aside from that when we get to that point. In the street chase scene, I think is it the guy who's blind? Is that Tibbs? Is that
Honestly, I don't remember names.
whichever character that is?
Yeah,
I
I
think
didn't.
he's the one like
Yeah.
hopping around on things for a little bit.
Yeah, it's
Um,
tips.
When that happens, I did say out loud to myself, "Parkour!" and thought of The Office. Okay, this isn't really a positive, or this is just more of a comment. But it came like so you guys were saying with the title of the movie, until you saw his eyes get red finally at the end, you kind of wondered like, okay, what actually, like, the movie's not doing a good job at describing why it's Bloodshot. Before that happened, and I realized, oh, that's where it is. That's what it refers to. What I wrote down was, as they're falling down the elevator shaft, and he like powers up, and his chest becomes all like fiery red and whatnot, and the final hit that he gives to Dalton and like knocks him the rest of the way to the ground, and I guess you're presuming he's dead. I said, was the final punch the blood shot? As though that's like his finishing move? Is that what that referred to? And then I realized, then I saw the eyes after that. I'm like, oh, the eyes, Bloodshot, got it. Okay, so
But
Well,
it
at
made
least you
the movie
connected the
worse.
dots.
that is what I got for my positives.
Okay. I'm gonna echo some of the stuff that these guys have already said. There were some highlights in the cast. I think Guy Pearce by far. Lamorne Morris, Wiggins was awesome. Isaac Gonzalez was good. They did as good as they could with the stuff they had to work with. I still think I'm with Josh. I think Wiggins stole the show for me. Like, he was the one I could just watch the whole movie, and it sucks that it took 3/4 of the movie before he finally showed up and had something to do. Action sequences, I think for the most part were okay for me. Aside from the CG like punchy fest in the elevator shaft, I didn't care for that one. That kind of took me out of it. The tunnel sequence I thought was cool. I think it just lasted too long. I don't know if they could have done it shorter, but I would have just liked to have seen something shorter. And maybe that's just more on like the really relying on the slow motion and stuff like that for all those fight sequences.
They
But
could have just done it normal speed. Would have been a lot faster.
well, there was only like two cars, I thought, or something like that, and then like 20
5.
dudes show up.
There was 5. Eric pointed that out to us. There's a 5
Okay.
car convoy.
Then I already completely
Yeah, and then one of them's disabled. Because I had these questions in my head when I'm watching it too. Like, it seems like a lot of guys for only 4 cars.
it's like a clown car. They just kept showing up out of nowhere.
And then I thought, no, it's just going so slow. It feels like it's more than it is.
Okay, then that's what it is. Yeah, maybe
'Cause
it's
they
a
kept-
pacing issue.
They kept regrouping and shit too, but they don't give
Yeah.
you like the aerial view to know that that's what they're doing. So you think they're going somewhere new, but they're actually following back, and somehow Vin Diesel teleports now. Fuck.
Yeah, it was a lot to try to figure out. I think, some of the stuff I don't think the movie explains to you well enough, and that could be. I'll probably spin that into the dislikes and stuff like that. But, really, I think that's probably the most positive stuff for me. It's mostly just like the part of the cast is what made me sort of invested and kind of enjoy this movie.
Agreed.
Was those specific people in the cast. So we'll spin back around to Mike. Dislikes.
Okay. I'll start at the beginning here. I've got a list. So first scene we're getting there, the military scene with Vin Diesel. So the way he like tricks the guy into moving his gun, he says he needs a phone. And this, I don't know if we're just supposed to assume the guy with the gun is dumb as fuck, but he does this right after he uses the radio on himself to tell somebody. Like, the guy's like, oh, I want a helicopter. And he's like, he radios and tells somebody he's got it under control. And he's like, "Oh, I need a phone," and the guy's like, "Oh, there's one there," and it's like that just what the fuck.
Oh, and then before that, they established that Vin Diesel looked at the phone. He saw him look
Yeah.
at the phone.
It just a fucking horrible sequence.
Well, I get the logic of like Vin Diesel sees the phone first because that's the setup to like why is he
but they
asking
have
for the
him
phone
turn.
because he
But he literally slow motion turns his head to look at the phone and holds it for like 5 seconds.
it is very obvious.
Everyone
But at
knows
the
he
same
saw
time,
the phone.
I'm playing devil's advocate that the guy that Mike's talking about, the terrorist, is just dumb as shit and just doesn't realize that.
So immediately after that, my first note afterwards is his girlfriend or wife, whatever she is. They don't really establish that.
Wife, that's why they showed
She's
the ring.
doomed. Well, no, but they don't establish it by the point I wrote this.
I think we had the ring by then.
No, they show it when she's dead.
No, they show when they fuck.
I think they show it when they first hug at the airport.
and
Yeah.
whatever. My note is that she's definitely dead. This is a superhero movie with Vin Diesel. She's dead. She's dying. And then eventually there it's just, well, she's dead. So then he gets introduced to Isaac Gonzalez, and I say, oh, what's this? A new love? Because they kind of look at each other in a way, in which we find out later, of course, is KT's thing, because she's like, she knows more about what's going on than he does or whatever. Fine. But because they're not really explaining a whole lot by that point, my question was, is she a fembot? Because they, like, for a second there, they kind of, like, it almost seems like they're alluding to her being a robot. Just for, it was, maybe for like a minute and a half where they left it up in the air. And then, move on from there. And then the next question I have about her was, wait, can she breathe underwater too through her chest mouth?
Did they ever establish if she could?
No, they
Okay.
didn't really, but it sounded like at the end of that she couldn't. But I was asking because she's in there for a long time. She has weights on her legs, but when she comes up out of the water, she seems like out of breath a little bit. Like, it's a big exhale when she comes up out of the water. So it's like, so she wasn't breathing. She can just really hold her breath that long, or she has cybernetic lungs, and I don't.
Cybernetic lungs. No, I should have thought of that. This guy's a genius.
Yeah. So, again, this goes to what Josh was saying about them not really explaining what's going on and leaving you up in the air, because it kind of pissed me off for a while because they hadn't explained anything. And I'm like, I feel like this place should be way more secure, that he can just hop in a truck and head on out on his own. Doesn't matter. He's good. He can just go. And then he accesses, like, the satellites to see, and I'm like, wait, so he's fucking Ultron? Like, he's just able to see that, like, he understands immediately how these nanites work.
That part was
and all
fucking
this
weird
shit.
to me too. Yeah, that just jumped a level that I was like, what the hell just happened and what, why, how?
Yeah, he went from, I just learned I can punch concrete, to, I, like, can do this.
See, I thought
Sorry,
for that
go
it made sense. Not like he wasn't actively doing it. He just thought something and they started doing stuff. So like,
Well, right, that's what I was thinking at the time, was like, oh, the nanites are doing it for him. Because he thought he wanted to do it, maybe they're doing it for him, but does he, like, it seemed like a really quick escalation of how well he was able to use things. We know why later. You know what I mean? But at that point in the movie, it was very confusing.
So wait, what? Connect the dots for me. Why do we know later? How does that work?
Because they're doing it.
Okay,
They're controlling the nanites.
that was something that just occurred to me now that I did not get from the movie. So that would make sense
Okay.
to me.
The other thing was they go into the tunnel. And this was, to me, off the chart, because evidently they can access the power grid to turn the lights out in the tunnel. I don't know how they have access to that, but the lights go out in the tunnel.
the nanites
as
hacked it.
he's... Sure.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they totally have access to that. That doesn't need explained. They're able to turn lights out in tunnels. So then later in this, or very shortly into the scene in the tunnel, my comment was, where did he get fucking thermite? That's not something that just anybody has. It wouldn't just be laying around. It wouldn't be something like, he never stops to go get supplies.
wouldn't it be?
He doesn't go anywhere.
Wouldn't it? Because Tiger King had it.
Tiger King had
Thermite?
thermite?
I'm pretty sure that's what he was shooting to blow shit up, right?
No, that was not thermite.
Pretty sure it was.
Thermite is the
Pull
stuff
up the
that they
tape,
said
Brian.
had to be used to melt the girders on the World Trade Center, and here it's September 11th, and we're discussing thermite again. But no, thermite is not just readily
But they-
available. MythBusters had to have special access to get it to use it for the
But
show.
they probably had it in the lab, so he had it in his gym bag he took. That's,
I'm assuming some sort of armory at the place that he just.
Like, they would have given
grab
it
shit.
to him. They wanted him to have it. Is my, I guess, thought process there. We see him take like a duffel bag, and it's probably got the weapons in it and the thermite.
I mean, okay. It just that would be that's such a ridiculous thing to just pull out and be like, boom, I have thermite. Like, I don't know.
Maybe the nanites made it.
That's possible, honestly.
Yeah, I mean that
Maybe
seems
that's
like
what
that
the
could just be
nanites
like,
excrete is thermite.
could be.
Or that's what they eat. I don't
Um,
know. Never explained that, I feel like.
So, from there on, there's not a whole lot more that I have to say about a whole lot, except they made a bad dick joke at one point.
Yeah.
At that point, I kind of like lost a lot of interest, and my notes went a lot downhill because I stopped paying as much attention. I think. Vin Diesel driving cool cars in a movie, I totally didn't see that coming, and then they just kind of abandoned that shortly thereafter. Like,
It's in his contract. It
Is it
can't be
just-
like too much like Fast and Furious.
yeah, but I mean, like, did we even get like a cool scene of him in the car,
Not really.
or they put him in this cool ass car and we don't really get to see it in action?
And the Fast and Furious movies already did a thing where they had to drive cars without electrical systems. I've already seen that plot device used in the Fast movies
I-
with Vin Diesel.
I get that. It's still just like, why even set it up if you're not gonna like why does it have to be that cool ass car? Why couldn't it just been like any old shitty car?
And the phone's still electronics.
Yeah. And then my last remark was about how bad the CG was in the elevator fight. I'm pretty sure you can like literally see the green screen a few times. It was awful. It was really, for somebody that, like Ian said earlier, for somebody that specialized in special effects to have CG look that bad in the big fight
In
sequence of the movie.
2020.
Yeah,
Well, again,
I
only
was not happy
a
with that.
$45 million budget
Yeah,
with
I'm
it.
I'm expecting it.
And
yeah.
Mike, to your point, I think the kind of crack that you made, that like half of that was Vin Diesel's salary. Who knows? That might not be far off. I mean,
I don't know what he gets paid for a movie, but it's not cheap. I know that.
Well, he might
didn't-
have done this one cheaper because he's a big nerd. So
That's true. He is into this kind of stuff.
To Josh's point, I think that's the part of why I wanted to bring up the budget, because that surprised me. For the budget of this movie being $45 million, and for as good as I think the special effects look for that budget, I can try to forgive some of the really shitty stuff. Like the elevator sequence is fine; they just ran out of money, is what I'm going to pin it up to.
no, he was
But
just
considering-
it was that cheap because he was doing it at cost.
Right? Yeah, but I mean, considering how good I think the nanite effects looked, and the slow motion and stuff like that, I think that works well.
Yeah, but I mean, think of it in terms of had they done, say, 90% less slow motion and used the budget that they wasted on slow motion to make that elevator fight better.
Or cut that shaft fight. Just cut them falling down the shaft. And do something else.
Yeah.
Make a scene that
yeah,
doesn't
there's
look like
ways
shit.
around it for sure. Yeah. Did you have anything else, Mike, or that was it?
No, that's pretty much where I ended my commentary, because there wasn't really much more to say.
All right, Ian, we'll spin to you. What didn't you like?
strap in.
Okay. So I wrote, better be a torture scene when Psycho Killer plays. And then I was like, oh, this is kind of a torture scene. And then it had no burn. It just went, I killed her. So I wrote, meh. That was just, it didn't do it as much for me. Like, with the actual payoff of killing her. Like, you don't see it. I don't even know if blood came out. It just, Then I wondered, is KT a medical professional? Why is she there? Find out she's there because it's a whole elaborate ruse. Let's see. Oh, then they mentioned that he gets a second chance, and I wrote down, oh, that reminds me of X2, which is like the movie Triple X. So that's something. There's a point where they get out of the elevator, and it's very clearly they're on the 73rd floor because the number above the elevator says 73, indicating that we're on the 73rd floor. And we find out the 73rd floor of this building, which they're on, is a manufacturing wing. Who manufactures shit on the 73rd floor of a goddamn building? Like, what's the fucking point of that?
Absolutely no one.
Like,
I'll answer that for you.
That-
Absolutely no
up to
one.
that point of the movie, even knowing that Vin Diesel had died and come back already, I was like, this is the most unrealistic fucking thing. And then, around then is when they introduce us to Jimmy, and I wrote down, Jimmy's a bad actor. He was awful throughout this film. It just didn't seem like he wanted to
Is
be
he
there.
the other programmer?
No, he's the legs guy.
Sam Hewen.
Oh, the legs guy.
Yeah, he
Okay.
was awful. Awful. At that point, I was like, would they know if I stopped watching this movie right now? Like, could I have come here and just done it? And just stopped there? The answer is no, because I wouldn't have gotten the Bloodshot thing. See. Oh, Toretto was being creepy as shit staring at her in the fucking swimming pool. I was like, that's really weird. And then I realized he's sitting next to the swimming pool, and that made it somehow creepier knowing he was just sitting at like the edge of the pool and not looking like further away from it. It made it creepier. Then
Got a
I
big
wondered,
window on the side.
yeah, like what the fuck is he doing? Like, was he just sitting there? And she's like, well, he's staring. Now I jump in the pool. That's how the script goes. Like, Eric, like they said, is bad at his job. Then I wondered.
The
Yeah,
strange,
go ahead, Josh.
like the strange like porthole sitting area, like an aquarium tank for them to have. Yeah, it was.
It's like the sea lion thing at the
Yeah.
zoo.
Like, oh,
was this?
here's your viewing port for the exhibit. You know, maybe some of the live stock will be in the pool for you to watch.
She's really the only one that ever
Which-
swims, so they made this window so people could watch her swim.
Yeah, well, I was going to say there's that. You see this in a lot of movies where they have these viewing ports for windows into pools, and it's always beautiful women that are in the pool at that time. But if a guy jumps in there with board shorts, you're getting a look right up Main Street you don't want. Let's be real about this. I'm sorry. If it's a guy in there, you're getting the view is going to be way different. I'm just
And that's
but they don't show that. They don't show that when the guy's in there swimming.
So did
Well,
they?
Ian would
I
have
mean,
stopped
why don't they
watching.
do
there's
that?
more people who apparently
Exactly.
work in that
But
building.
it's
Maybe
just
that's
like-
what's happening at other times.
Did they custom order that pool just for the script they wrote to like trick Diesel into killing people? Like the fuck. Oh god. Okay, so did he steal that truck? I still didn't get that. Then I thought maybe it's his truck. They don't.
Well, he doesn't really know at that point.
Unanswered.
I just was wondering, like, did he steal the truck? Is it his truck? Why the truck? Why not any other vehicle? That was a sticking point for me. This is when I
That
wondered.
was probably a Vin Diesel contract thing.
Then I wondered if.
He wanted to drive that. Sorry.
No, go. It's fine. I interrupt everyone. Then I couldn't tell if this is on me. This isn't the movie's fault. I didn't know if I wanted Eric to live or not. This was probably around the penis joke. I was like, I like Eric. He's a little scrappy, but then he's kind of a little shit.
He's the programmer guy,
Wait,
right?
which?
Yeah.
I was gonna say which one's
Yeah,
Eric.
Guy
Jesus-
Pearce's programmer, main tech guy. Yeah.
Okay.
I
The
will
one
say
who's
that-
not good.
Yeah.
It's
the
not- well, I know
one-
who Wiggins is, so it's just the other programmer.
Oh,
That's
oh
what it
yeah,
is.
the one of the two programmers who aren't good. The first penis joke that they make that KT says before she like storms out of the room, I was like, okay, that's kind of a tried and true joke to make. Okay, but yes, when they go back to it like 2 scenes later, where he goes up to
Is
Guy
it even
Pearce.
2 scenes?
Well, like it's
It's just
Well, I mean, the
there's-
original setup is in the torture scene. 30 minutes later,
Yeah.
we get the payoff to that joke, and it doesn't really land.
right.
Yeah.
And
they set up a dick joke.
and then but then when
in,
you
like, the first scene.
yeah, but then when you go back, even after KT makes that comment to Eric, there's a break in scene. Something else happens. Then they make it felt. How do I describe that? What did I say before? Like very Michael Bay-ish. Like no matter what, I will put that shoe leather on it to get that joke that I want. and they come back to Eric just to show him later, soon later, going to Guy Pearce to vaguely ask about body modifications. Because we know what happened. We heard what was said. He's talking about his dick, guys. Get it?
Yeah, I definitely chalked it up to Michael Bay.
Yeah.
I like the
That's-
one
that's a
Michael Bay
Bayism.
joke from the original Terminator where the guy turns around and says, "Criminals are hot." That I really enjoyed that joke. But that's enough Michael Bay movies for now. So, oh god, something I wrote down. My legs don't work. I really didn't like that Jimmy. He was a bad actor. It just I didn't care. I was like, you're gonna die soon. I get you're upset that you're not the Terminator. I don't fucking know. I didn't get his motivation
And-
for being upset with Vin Diesel.
And
Agreed.
did they even let him have any cool kicks that he uses these legs for? No. Instead, they give him Dr. Octopus arms.
That's true.
Yeah.
Like the things that
Yeah.
he's modified with, they didn't really show how that he chooses to utilize them or can utilize them very well.
To make him different, they gave him something people don't have instead of improving the thing he lost. Which kind of
Yeah.
harmed on the whole. I thought we were making people better with this technology, not just here's your back to normal and now here's some cool thing that no one should have on their body. Oh god. That's
This is-
it. We talked about the fight scenes. They were all awful. Like, you have all that flour. I'm waiting for it to blow up, and then it doesn't. Like, how are these guys well-paid, like, mercenaries that don't light fire with a bunch of flour around? It's explosive. Like, everyone knows that. Those fight scenes were too long.
Wait, it is?
Yeah,
I don't.
that's a well-known trope that's used, like, because all the dust in the air from the flour, it explodes.
See, I don't think I knew
What
that
about
either.
Is
flour is
that
combustible?
is that an actual
That-
thing, or is that just a movie trope?
It's an actual thing and a movie thing. It's both.
Okay.
So that was so disappointing to me. And then, literally, he goes to fight three guys, and it's a 45-second slow-mo thing. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? I literally could have taken, I could have gotten so much other things done during that fight scene. The elevator fight scene just sucked. Like, it's just, I didn't care. They're falling down the shaft, and it's clearly CGI. And I'm like, well, why did you hire Vin Diesel if he's not going to fight? Like, there
Yeah.
was nothing cool about that. There's the chase scenes suck. There's no real excitement to any of the chasing. Like I said, the cops don't get involved. They just park some big fucking double reinforced Hummer on the sidewalk and fuck it. I'm in a motorcycle now doing one-wheel wheelies and shit. Like, this movie was like, it had something in the beginning and then it just got worse and worse and worse, and like literally every fight scene other than when KT had that like one, I was like, wow, these fight scenes fucking suck. And then the big payoff is like the final real fight scene is him fighting a dude with a fucking magnetic arm, and their fight is I shoot a grenade launcher at him twice, but he catches like one of them and kills us both.
That's the Bloodshot.
That's the
You're gonna still try to hammer that home.
Yes.
Make sure it sticks.
Making a
They
thing.
don't explain, like, they mention at one point that they need the things need to eat or recharge, like in Venom. They explain what happens in Venom. Nothing. We don't figure out.
Yeah, they say they need to recharge, but they don't tell you why.
We don't figure out how Wiggins makes it so they never have to recharge. He has somehow
Yeah.
figured out a way to make like power that automatically regenerates. A fucking breakthrough that would change human history. But I'm just gonna give it the Diesel.
And he's made it on a microscopic size.
Yeah.
On a microscopic scale, he's managed to do this as well.
Perpetual
Not just,
motion,
like, make
like-
it.
To be fair, maybe he was like, maybe they were just bullshitting the entire time, because since they never really give you the explanation of how the nanites recharge, why they need to, with their
Yeah, they
food. No, if I remember,
They pull them out of
So
him at one point and put new ones
So
in.
we know
We
they
don't
have
know
to
why.
change them.
Yeah, we don't know why or anything, but we know how.
And Wiggins
okay,
says he
so
fixed
the
it.
sense that I got from that, and I could be wrong, absolutely. The sense that I got at the point where they're actually trying to extract the nanites was not necessarily for like a recharge or a swap out. It's because they wanted to be done with Vin Diesel and they were decommissioning him. So they were removing their product,
still had to
their
kill Barris.
equipment.
The first time.
wasn't it?
They had to kill Barris still.
Yeah.
Yeah, they do it more than once.
I thought they
wasn't-
just put him under and kind
So
of hook
after
him
the
up.
first time.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
There's some sort of percentage on a
you s-
monitor somewhere that keeps ticking down
Yeah.
when he does things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then it
And-
keeps
and
dropping
well,
below
you can
like
see them
10%,
removing
and
a
then they're
power
like, okay,
level?
we gotta
Yeah.
almost, yeah.
It's called the
then-
nanite level.
Then I
It's
got
called the
missed.
nanite level, and it makes no fucking sense.
Either I
then-
lost interest
No.
by that point, or in those couple of moments that it passed me by, or it was so badly explained that I just didn't catch it.
So let's talk
Maybe
about
both.
Barris now that I'm thinking about it. Like, so is he a bad guy now? It was like, 'cause it made it seem like he was killing off these people that left and they did nothing wrong. But Barris has a slave. Barris owns a slave, so maybe they did deserve to die. I don't fucking know.
That was the guy that had Wiggins captive, right?
Yes.
That's that guy? Okay.
Yeah. And also, these other people obviously knew they were being chased, and he's the only one to think to use an EMP. None of them thought whoa, we could use an electromagnetic pulse on
because
these things, and they
we-
all worked with them and created
Right,
them,
we-
and like they weren't just like random.
I mean,
people.
that might have been easier to buy if they had given us any kind of broader background, or not like a hardcore character development, but if we had any information about these people he was tracking, about Toby Kebbell's character before he's killed, and about Barris, like, you might have been able to convince me, all right, this person would have reasonably done this or not done this thing. That person would have reasonably done this or not done that thing because of this information they've shared with us that show us what kind of intellect they have and the character that they had or something. But all they gave you was they were part of the development team with Guy Pearce, and now he wants them dead so that they can't steal his stuff or tell people what he's done. That's as
But
far as we got.
they do establish why no one used an EMP before, because the guy that they kill in the tunnel mentions that they finished it. They didn't know they were done with the technology when he was hunting down the first three. They knew.
Oh, that's right.
Okay, so like he wasn't as good at it, is what you're saying? Like
They-
the technology was not as functional.
Yeah, they hadn't
For the
sent
first-
Diesel on a mission yet, and like had him moving around by the time all those guys left. They didn't know that it was ready to launch.
Yeah, I guess all they knew was people
Fair
were
enough.
dying. They didn't know it was their invention killing everybody.
Can I insert a thought I have at this moment though?
Maybe.
How much cooler would the ending have been had they somehow worked it out so that like they hack the programming, like have Wiggins hack the programming when they're trying to send him in to kill KT, and just have him redirect it to Guy Pearce's character, so that when they're like, they put him through like the whole process again, and then instead of seeing who they want him to see kill his wife, he sees Guy Pearce's character do it, and then he just goes off.
But then that makes
then.
Wiggins a bad guy, because then he's just using it for his own personal needs. The whole point of them saving him was to like free him and give him back his
Well,
humanity.
he could free him afterwards.
But that's still him, like, basically now taking his own slave for his own nefarious purposes.
There's more slave
shared
considerations
purposes,
in
but
this
yeah,
movie
okay.
than I previously realized.
I agree. I hadn't.
Vin Diesel hits the hard topics.
Always.
Slavery, witch hunting, cars.
Did it stand out to anybody else that like Wiggins goes from a captive, and then the guy that has him captive is killed, and then he has the whole conversation with Vin Diesel, lets him go, he's on the run, and then the next time you see Wiggins, he has an entourage, like bodyguards.
Yeah.
When the
That
fuck
was
did that
weird.
happen, and why?
Well, he knew he was going to be hunted. That's the why. Like, he knew that they would want to take him out.
But literally, it's like a day
But
later.
It seems real. I was gonna say it seems really
Well-
quick to have turned over into an entourage for somebody the last time we see him is like going around in pajamas.
No,
all
I'm
day.
not saying
Right.
you're wrong there with like the timeline wise, because that's not even the only fucking timeline thing. I think they mentioned like Vin Diesel's been doing this kind of for like 5 years, like hunting these people down, which I think is another reason why they
Well,
didn't piece it together.
He's been missing.
He's been missing.
He's been missing from what's her
5
name for 5
so,
years.
but they find out they go from killing the dude in the tunnel to killing Barris in 8 hours.
It seemed
It's quick.
really
It
yeah,
seems
fast.
quick.
they're progressing exponentially.
Like it was literally okay. Back, shut him off, start the new one.
Yeah, and
Well, and the other thing,
I was
Go
saying,
ahead,
that
Josh.
made me think, okay, maybe it looks like Guy Pearce had, I don't know, 4 or 5 targets from his previous team members. So have they gone, like I started questioning it. Like, okay, am I understanding this wrong? Have they actually, if they're going at this kind of pace, have they only really been turning him off and on for the last like 2 weeks?
I was under that
don't
impression.
know.
Yes.
I felt like it was a longer term because it would have to be to like show the military that this works. Like, this lasted
I thought
longer
that was
than
all
2
a lie,
weeks.
though.
Maybe, but again, like the
I
ambiguity to that, the fact that wasn't solidified, well enough and explained well enough, I think, is that's why we're saying this. Like, it wasn't done well enough.
There's a lot of wiggle room in this story.
Well, the other thing I was going to say earlier was like, so they're all in that room after KT leaves, and he says that she's the next target, right? Like, he says, like, okay, once it's Barris, then it's going to be KT, because he just told, her that Barris was the last target, and now he's telling the next person that she's the last target, and does nobody in the fucking room realize that as soon as she's gone, they're going to be the next target?
But they also know if they leave, it's the same thing.
Yeah, but you get my point, though. Like,
Also, Eric probably did not think that. And remember, no one else
Eric's
has
mind was on
lines.
other things.
No one else has lines.
I get it.
They didn't want to give them SAG cards. That's what happened.
I get what you're saying, but it's just like, fuck, like, you're making your characters look stupid. You're making them look extremely dumb when they're not able to see something that obvious, and I don't... Like, I was waiting that whole time for this Eric character, I guess is his name, to turn on Guy Pearce in some way, and instead he just goes, like, full insane and kills his own, like, team
No,
member.
he's like Tom Haverford. He's a scared little baby. Eric would never do anything like that.
That's a good characterization. I agree, and not just because of the Indian thing.
Nothing to do with that. Edit that out.
I mean, there is a whole staff full of people that are completely okay with just offing people.
Yeah, they
Because
all
they used to work for a
wait,
guy.
hold on, wait.
Well, that's every
Which one's
villainous
Eric?
organization.
Eric was the programmer?
Yeah. Who do you think Eric
I was talking about the guy. I was talking about Leg Guy. I'm not keeping track of names.
That's
right
Jimmy.
now. Leg Guy kills his own. Okay, Jimmy. He kills his own team member. later.
Right.
I was
Well-
waiting for him to turn on him the whole time because he knows, like, oh, this guy's gonna fucking kill me next. So I'm waiting for him to turn on Guy.
No, he's confident enough that he's the best. So that's why he doesn't think.
And he's
It's why he
the
thinks even if Guy
non-expendable.
Pearce would go after me, I would defeat him because I am the best.
Well,
I am a
it
one.
wouldn't be Guy Pearce though. It would be like the Vin Diesel.
No, but he's
thing.
also
It would
fine
be-
with taking on Vin Diesel. He establishes that the whole movie is I am better than Vin Diesel and I would kick his ass. And I
Okay.
hate him
Yeah,
for
you're not wrong
unexplained
there, but-
reasons. Because he's better than me. I don't fucking know why he hates him. Does anyone know?
The other question I have is in terms of what Guy Pearce is doing and like this whole like nefarious plot he has, which doesn't really get fully explained at any point. Why the hell are the other ones even there?
Who?
Jimmy and I don't know, Chestnut.
Body
so-called.
retrieval?
What do you mean? Why are they there? I mean, he
Why
needs,
do they-
he needs
why-
a team. Like, I'm sure they do other
For what?
things.
Like,
They retrieve the body. They play their role in the whole thing to convince him to do the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, if he's
And
if
they
he's
probably work
built-
on location scouting.
They probably need one of those guys for that.
Also, those
I mean,
drones
like,
sucked.
that's
Throwing that out there now. The drones in Venom were so much cooler and were released in such a better way than, like, why even shoot them out of like a grenade thing? Just like have the drones start flying. Like the fuck this.
I'll be honest.
well,
I feel like I came into this movie like thinking Valor or Bloodshot was better than Venom. Ian's kind of selling me on Venom being a better movie here. The more we're talking about it.
that's why I said I wasn't sure yet, is because I knew what my opinion could change, and talking about it, I realized.
Like I don't know if Josh saw it at the top when he said, "If you're a Vin Diesel fan, you would like this. Like it's got all the Vin Diesel stuff."
Yeah, we
and
were
I said,
shaking our
"Fuck
heads.
no! I love Vin Diesel. This is the worst goddamn Vin Diesel movie I've ever seen. They wasted his talents. Like Jesus Christ! Like he's a great fighter. He's not the best actor, but I don't want him to act. I want him to mouth the fuck a beer and punch people."
A Corona.
Have you ever seen
There's
a
your next
Corona.
shirt.
Only Corona.
There's your next shirty, and I wanted the mouth fuck a beer.
I'll be on the shelf before this drops.
Just Photoshop a picture of Vin Diesel and put that right underneath it.
So your comment about his acting is a great springboard to my list of negative points, because
I was beginning to
feel like
wonder
you
if we were
said-
getting to these.
I feel like you said you were done with your negative points like 20 minutes ago.
Just like this movie, I kept going.
So the two specific things I wrote down, and then I have just a broader opinion of it. After Wiggins shuts him down, takes him back, wakes him up, and he's like, "Look, here's what's actually happening." The moment of revelation for Vin Diesel and the turn he takes, I almost didn't understand that it happened because it's so. I guess I'll say subtle, but I just wrote down VD, and I'm just gonna call him VD from now on, which I think is suitable. VD, not a good actor.
That about sums it up.
He
Yeah.
did not understand how to sell. Like, look, everything that you're kind of getting told right now that should rock your world immensely and result in a lot of internal turmoil and struggle and what do I believe is real now just kind of came out. Yeah, that's terrible. I'm gonna go get those guys now.
But that's Vin Diesel. That's why you cast him. When Letty comes back in Fast and Furious, he's like, oh shit, Letty's back. Then he rolls with it and kicks some ass. That's what you want from him. No problem with that happening. Yeah. He processed it
Josh,
real
we didn't
quick.
get that far for you yet.
No. And it's still
Just spoiled
I mean,
Fast 4 and 5.
Well, I'll say, number one,
I cringed for that one. I wanted that to be a secret if he could.
if it makes you feel better, I only half heard the character he mentioned, and I don't remember who that is anyway.
Okay,
so
good.
if you don't,
Wipe
don't
it from
say
your
anything
memory.
else. And plus,
That's the white chick with
nonetheless,
blonde hair.
plus, there's no way I'm ever emotionally going to become invested in those stories. So even if I remember it by the time it happens, I still won't care.
Okay.
If you want Vin Diesel to act, you have to let him talk about family while he's yelling in somebody's face, and then you have to put him in a car, and that's it.
Not even
And
yelling.
let him punch people, of course.
He does his best acting as a monotone voice. The minute he tries to go to different levels, softer, louder, and try to act, it falls flat.
He's
Yes.
a more ripped
Yes.
Keanu Reeves.
So just there's a lack of ability to intonate in his voice. It doesn't.
And he has
There's
no
no- I don't know.
eyebrows, so he can't do facial expressions well either.
He doesn't, and I didn't realize that till you just said it. That explains. That
Cue
puts
the glass shattering sound effect.
it puts into words something I was feeling but didn't even realize that I was feeling. But yes, you're right. But so and on that note, that actually goes into my second point, which is I mentioned before how a positive was that whole thing they show you, the digital construction of that mountainous sea harbor scene, which is really sweet to watch happen. But I wrote most of the dialogue that happens during that, it's in and of itself, that was the negative point. Most of the dialogue happening because he's
inconsequential.
because he's talking. And I again wrote down VD, not good actor. Because even his in trying to deliver those trailer lines, you have, what does he say? You know nothing about men like me. Something. It's
Pretty good
it just
Diesel.
Still sounds so. I don't know. There's not a believable. I would say passion is it sounds that sounds so hyperbolic and so stupid, but there's it's
The tone, even. Just the tone of his
there's something
voice
about
doesn't
how-
match what he's trying to convey.
Yes,
I
yes.
do.
He's
I
miscast.
he
I
can't
do-
get
was
to those
miscast.
point.
Anybody else could do better in this role, I think, than Vin Diesel.
Can I Ian won't understand this, but was anybody else in that moment waiting for "Come As You Are" to start playing? I'm sorry.
Why? Because
It felt like a carbon copy of the
Of Captain Marvel.
scene.
for that specific reason, I can see that now.
Like it just, I was just like, this is stolen right from Captain Marvel. This is
Like we'll put you in this virtual, self,
blank atmosphere.
unconscious, deep seated in your brain, fictional
Yeah.
world where you'll face
Confront the baddie.
face your creator and your baddie and break through the like the personal barrier that you need to figure out how to control yourself and become your own thing. Yeah, I can see it.
Well, so did anyone else think, because Guy Pearce says, will me make you more comfortable, that he was going to become his wife? Like, that's what I thought was going to happen.
I
And then
didn't
Diesel
think
was
it,
like,
but that
that's
might have
my
been
wife!
better.
No,
I just
no one
started
else
yelling
thought
that.
that.
Okay.
No.
I was thinking like a Mystique thing, you know? Okay.
Josh, you get through your list?
Yeah, so that's well, those are the 2 bullet points I wrote down. And I think, I mean, if I maybe just, I don't know if it's like still under negatives or just like a segue into like overall feeling of the movie, but like, these are negative aspects to it, I suppose, so that maybe they fit here. I think in some ways, aside from the stuff that we've talked about, there's something about the place in movie making that Vin Diesel has made for himself, that any movie that I've ever seen him in, or the way that I see his movies presented, especially through marketing and whatnot, it feels like everything is structured around making him look and sound and come off a certain way in every scene that he's in, to the sacrifice of many other major elements of filmmaking. So sometimes the story doesn't matter, the editing doesn't matter, character development doesn't matter. Most scenes are constructed and lines are written, and the whole mood of the movie is you can't get away from Vin Diesel's in this movie, and he's the main character. And it's so, and I don't know if that is if that's a more modern version of how like some of Schwarzenegger's movies were made in like the 70s or 80s. Maybe they suffered from the same thing or not. It's been a long time since I've watched his like older stuff. And maybe that's just like the modern version of that. But I think like that's such a big reason why I don't end up myself enjoying a lot of his stuff. Is, to me, the focus of everything I'm watching never gets far enough beyond how can we make you feel about Vin Diesel, the person, in this scene you're watching in this movie, rather than the character he's playing or anything that's happening.
He's well suited to play Groot.
Agreed. So, and I think that's where my, if you like Vin Diesel, you might have liked this movie comment came from, is my impression of the reason that people like his other films or tend to maybe enjoy him as an actor for whatever reason. The things that I've framed in my mind that I see as a commonality between those other things and this, I saw a lot of those things present. And so therefore I felt, well, if you like his other stuff, this has some cool digital stuff and it's based on a comic book and it's kind of a cool story at its heart and whatnot. So, but you'd probably like this a lot. That thesis has apparently really been blown away, especially by Ian here tonight.
I mean,
but
as a fellow Vin Diesel fan, I'm more on the other end of the spectrum of Vin Diesel fandom, I think, than Ian, because I think he's a Fast and the Furious type fan of Vin Diesel. I'm more of the Pitch Black Riddick type fan. In that I really enjoy those movies, and it's not because Vin Diesel's badass. It has nothing to do with that. It's that, they present good fight scenes, they present a fun story. It's the same thing like Fast and the Furious. I'm not watching that for Vin Diesel's acting. I'm watching that for the chase scenes and to put it in Ian's terms, explosions. I'm not watching that for Vin Diesel. He just happens to be there. So That's my own Vin Diesel story for you, so you can understand why this movie does not. I agree with what you're saying. It does present him in that light very intentionally in several ways, but that's not why I watch Vin Diesel movies.
I feel like I'd just like more opinions. Anybody that listens this far into the podcast and has seen this movie, please comment somewhere and let us know what you think. Even if we're trashing the crap out of this thing, I'm just curious if anybody actually liked this movie, or if it's more universal that this is just a bad Vin Diesel movie.
There's got to be some people that are in that 30% critics.
Yeah.
Imagine being a movie critic and giving this a positive review.
Get the
TV
clicks
Guide.
either way.
Well,
TV
maybe
Guide review.
Maybe it also depends on how those scores get like amalgamated. Like if I'm a critic, maybe I gave it a 30%, not that I'm one of the 30% that gave it a glowing review.
No. There's 30% that gave it a positive review is what that means.
Yes.
Oh,
On Rotten Tomatoes. The difference is, I disagree with their scoring system because I think like a 2.5 out of 4 is considered a positive review and gets accredited the same way as 5 out of 5 stars or a 10 out of 10. They all account for the same percentage.
all right.
It doesn't. It's just like the number of reviewers that didn't trash it is the percentage that you see.
Okay.
So 3 out of 10 reviewers thought it was a good movie.
That's why newspapers are dying.
But I don't know if I went through my list, but I think a lot of it we talked about, which, Vin Diesel's acting fell flat to me. The story, I think, was largely forgettable. Even just talking about it, I'm trying to remember stuff because I don't remember what the fuck happened or really why.
Well, that's the other thing. You've seen it all. They ripped off so many different movies to put in this movie.
Yeah. And I think, so maybe to what Josh's point, I remember I had seen the trailer for this, so the whole twist of the movie is given away in the trailer.
Yeah.
So that fell flat for me, which, like Josh said, could have been cool. If I would have gone into this movie blind, that might have landed a little bit better. I might have enjoyed this more, but it just fell flat.
I went in blind. I hadn't seen a trailer.
Okay.
Did that twist work for you?
No, I was confused and it made no fucking sense as to why he was doing what he was doing.
Well, I mean, like the
And then
flip
they
of
make the
like,
twist.
oh, this is the whole, like they're
What a-
reliving it.
And they make the flip, and I'm like, okay, now it's explained, but it's still not like, oh my god, that's amazing on the twist. No, it was
Okay.
like, whatever.
Typically, I think for most of the movies that we do, I'd probably try to wrap up with like, how does this movie hold up? But this movie is 6 months old, so I'm not going to go through that. So we're just going to spin to ratings. Out of 10, what do you want to give this movie? I think, Mike, do you need more time? We started with you first for
Oh
everything.
no, I'm good.
Okay,
I'm good.
we'll
I've
start
got
with you. What do you got out of 10?
2.5 out of 10.
2.5?
2.5.
Okay.
And 2.45 of that is Isaac Gonzalez. I just want to make that. 2.45 of that is that. 0.05
Is Wiggins.
the special effects the first time on the slow-mo.
Okay. Ian, out of 10.
3.7.
Okay. Josh?
I think I'm gonna give it a 4 again.
The fuck? Not appearing on this podcast again.
It didn't get a better score than Venom.
I don't know how in any world these movies are on the same level. I dropped 4 points. Mike cut his score in half.
Because I really enjoyed that Coming to America joke.
One joke.
So I won't see you guys on the 26th, if you're wondering.
I'm probably gonna end with a 3.5 out of 10. I think Wiggins is enough to make this somewhat enjoyable for me. There's a couple, again, some of the action sequences fine, I can live with. The special effects hit their mark maybe 50% of the time. It's a good field test, I think, for some of the visual effects, but yeah,
some
I
of
think-
it's
I
just
think-
like, oh, they did that with the Liquid Terminator already years ago.
yeah, I mean, it still looks
And they
better
didn't do slow-mo every time.
now. I think the effects do look, they've perfected it maybe for some of that stuff, for the liquidy effects type of thing, the Terminator effects. I thought all that stuff looked cool, like blowing apart and coming back together. I think that looked fine.
Had it been done faster, I would agree.
Yeah, fair. All right, well, that's where we're ending for Bloodshot. So now it's part of the show where we will spin the Wheel of Fate to decide what we're watching next. So carried over from the last Rewind Theater, We still have 2 franchises on the board: Swamp Thing and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Our 3 standalone movies that carried over: Constantine, Cowboys and Aliens, and I wrote down Bloodshot, but that is not the right one. Where's the wheel at?
Valerian is the other
Yes, you're right. Yeah. Valerian and City of Thousand Planets carried over. The newest addition that takes Bloodshot's place is Astro Boy.
Real quick, has anyone seen any of these?
Yes.
I have seen.
one. Of the ones on
Yeah.
the wheel, most of
Are
them.
any of these good? Like for you guys, because I know
you've seen TMNT.
well, I'm not. I guess that, but like other than that, because I'm the only one that's liking these movies. I'm the only one that's 2 for 3. So I just wonder, are we gonna finally? Is there a chance we get a movie you guys like?
Originally, I like Valerian.
I like Constantine.
Okay.
Yeah, Constantine.
I have not seen Constantine. I have
Really?
seen Cowboys and Aliens. Yeah, that's one I haven't seen.
Ah, that's surprising.
Cowboys and Aliens I have seen only once, so I would actually kind of like to revisit that.
I remember liking it.
Same here.
Um,
It's been a long time.
Turtles is probably the only one I know for sure that I like. The other
only one
ones
I
could
haven't
be
seen
up in the
there is
air.
Swamp Thing.
What Swamp Thing? All of them,
I'm
or
not-
just the first one?
It's one of the franchises.
Yeah.
isn't
So
it?
That is yeah.
all the
There's
swamps?
2.
So it would start with the first.
No, but
one.
you haven't seen any of them. Is my question.
No, I've not seen any of them.
All right, so I'm sharing the wheel. Do you guys see the wheel?
Yes.
I can't read it, but
Yeah, some of the names get jumbled together, so that's fine. As long as you can see it, we'll figure it out.
Let's do this.
All right, so here we go. Spinning the wheel.
Clickety click, click, clickety clack, clack. Round and round it goes.
The anticipation.
I
is
don't even
killing
know
me.
what I'm
Where
rooting
it
for at this point.
stops, nobody
I remembered what I
knows.
can't read it now.
I feel like we've weeded out some of the ones that I,
mean,
really don't want
TMNT
to watch.
I would be cool with. Or
And it's Astro Boy.
Astro Boy.
Wait, so is this the only one that gets picked? Because last week it was the Bloodshot spot, and now I'm beginning to think it was also where Venom was.
No, because Bloodshot was already on the board. Venom was replaced by Valerian.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's a
so
different
it's not landing
spot,
in the same spot all the time.
but the same color one. Apparently, red is the way to go. Last couple weeks.
Eventually, we're gonna end up with a wheel that has only stuff I really want to watch on it.
That's
You hope so.
that's the hope. Yeah. Eventually, we're just gonna weed out all the shit.
Next year.
And by the time we get to the end, yeah, it's gonna take 3 years to get there, but we will get there. God damn it!
And we'll have a good wheel, and then for 1 week, and then something else will end up on it that ruins that.
All right, so that's what we have to look forward to for probably 201. We'll see if anything pops up between, the 200th and then when we're trying to do Astro Boy.
So we have a long time to watch this one.
We might, yeah, there might be a little bit more, yeah, because by the time we record the 200th and then by the time I edit it and get it up, that might be 2 weeks, which is typically what we're sort of giving ourselves to watch the movie. So I'd say at least 3 weeks to watch this one. Might be a little bit more of a leeway there. And again, that's assuming nothing pressing comes up that we want to record or talk about. So we could play that by ear too. All right. Well, that's it for this episode. One more time, we are at 199. Be sure to check us out for 200 on Saturday, September 26th at 7 p.m. on Twitch. That's at Jedi Bry Guy on Twitch. Follow us now. That way you'll be set whenever we go live. Once I hit the button, you'll get an email notification to tune in and check us out. You can, again, I'll put it up later. You'll have the regular audio podcast. If you want to watch the video of what we've done, that will be up on my Twitch page also. So you can also visit that after when we record. It should be there for you. Other than that, if you've enjoyed the show, please leave us a 5-star rating and review. Be sure to give us a share on social media. You can follow, subscribe, keep up with the show. We are on Spotify, iTunes, Google, Anchor, Stitcher, hopefully anywhere you can search podcasts, we are there. Find us on Facebook, search Bry Guy and his Super Friends, or go to facebook.com/Bry Guy Super Friends. Don't forget, you can send us questions, comments, topic suggestions there. You can hit us up on Twitter at BG Super Friends, or, attempt to email us. I will check at bryguysuperfriends@gmail.com. And that's it. On behalf of Ian, Josh, Mike, and myself, thank you for listening, and we will catch you for number 200 in about 2 weeks.
Adios, Simple Nation.